Hello, Ron Bumblefootfall here, and you are watching the Carr Stereo podcast.
Hey friends, Steve Brown here, and you are in my home studio, which we're going to be doing a grand tour with my good friend Terrie Carr on the Carr Stereo podcast. Come on, let's go.
Yo, what's up, yo? This is DMC in a place to be, and the only place for you to ever be is right here rocking and rolling with the Carr Stereo podcast. Rock.
So Carr Stereo podcast is on. I'm super excited to be with Mike Fitz and Tommy Skeoch from Bad Marriage. I feel like we literally just started chatting like 30 seconds ago. I feel like I've known you guys my whole life because I kind of have. I mean, Tommy, I've known you and your work for a lot longer, but Mike, I've been following you for quite some time as a guitar player. Where do I start? Gosh, where do I start? Let's start with Bad Marriage, because Bad Marriage has been around for a while. You guys are going on 11 years.
Mm-hmm.
Does it feel like 11? Does it feel like 11 months? Does it feel like 111 years? What does it feel like for you, Mike?
Well, you know, the cool thing is the addition of Tommy, and I'm sure we're going to get into that, but you just sparked something in my mind. And, you know, it was getting to be, you know, I wouldn't say weighing on me, but you start to go, wow, we've been in a band for a while. But when, you know, with the addition of Tommy, it was what, 2+ years ago, it almost was a revival. It was almost like a new beginning to us. And that's the kind of spark and energy I think we needed to, you know, just rejuvenate you as a band and just keep pushing forward. So it was a very exciting time. It still is with Tommy. And, you know, we love writing songs together. And, you know, yeah, the band's been together for 10+ years, but you know, there's no stopping now. So, you know, especially with this new record, and, you know, I'm sure we'll get into all that, but yeah, it's definitely an exciting time, and we're pumped.
10+ years, I think, too, is the time where a band can really kind of hit their stride and figure out this is who we are. And I think on this record, Match Made in Hell, which is out now on RFK Media, which is Ron Keel's. Ron is such a good dude. I'm so happy that you guys are with Ron.
He's awesome.
Just
I know.
Good people.
Yeah.
You know, so Tommy, I'm gonna give you this, and it's nice. I had Ron on this feature with me, and we just talked about how at a point you get to a point in your life where you just want to work with good people. You want the shit bags that you've worked with in your life to be out of your life, and you want to concentrate on working with good people. So Tommy, what was it like for you to come into a band as the second guitar player? You have a whole different history behind you, of course. You came up in the music business when the music business was business and business with Tesla. You guys were the Tesla machine. So you have the opportunity, you and Mike meet, I guess, on Monsters of Rock, correct?
Yep.
So what was it about the chemistry between you two, first as two guys talking, and then second as two guys playing guitar, that you thought, you know what, this is definitely something worth pursuing for me?
Okay, well, the one thing was I had heard a lot about them, and then I saw them on the boat, and that really intrigued me. And it was the kind of band that I just felt like I could just, I mean, I never knew I was going to play with them. I just kind of loved them and just dug their vibe and wished I could just step in there and rock with them type of thing. And that's what I was thinking at that time. And then on the boat, I met Mike. We had some beers and we were talking Marshalls and Gibsons and all kinds of music stuff. And Mike's a real personable guy. And if you meet him like you have, and most people, he's just, I don't know what it is about him, man, but he's become like a really close friend of mine. And I don't have a lot, and I just love him, you know. So that was one thing. And then I was in this other band where there were some shit bags. The last band I was in, when I met Mike and I was on that boat doing a band, this other band, Resist Bite, which was a great record, but not good people. So, you know, right when I knew I had to get out of that, Mike and me were really becoming friends. And he just kind of said, man, why don't you come up and jam with us and, you know, and check it out? Because this isn't working out, it sounds like, you know, for you. And I said, yeah, man, that's perfect. So I went up there and I'd actually done a track with them, some leads on one of the songs that's on the record, Dangerous, before that, just kind of feeling stuff out with them. And we really hit it off. So it's been good that way.
Chemistry is good. You have to have chemistry because you can like each other. Mm-hmm. And what I hear on this record brings me back to my, Perry Whitford,
Yeah.
Angus
That's
Malcolm.
cool.
It's that double barrel guitar where one's not trying to outdo the other. And there's just that feeling. This is a rock and roll sensibility experience album. And that's what I really love about it. The songs, the video for Match Made in Hell, it restores my faith in guitar rock.
That's
And
awesome.
we started chatting, Mike and I, when we first zoomed and before we started rolling, and we just were talking about guitar rock because people love it and everybody is ready for it in their lives. And congratulations to you guys, because you guys have
Thank
gotten
you.
into the rock radio charts, which is not easy to do because music is very boxed these days.
Right.
Everybody has to sound like something else, or this is
Yeah,
the
man.
record so and so didn't make, and nobody has that real uniqueness of sound and who they are. And I feel like you guys have it. It
I
brings
think we
that.
got something. Yeah, I like
You have a
that.
sound. You have a sound. It reminds me of that feeling of that kind of down and dirty Bon AC/DC. I think there's an East Coast pissed offness to it. And then Tommy, you bring a little bit of that West Coast sleaze from the 80s.
Yep.
And there's just this
That's awesome.
down and dirty rock and roll feel and
I
vibe.
like that.
Did it
I
or
totally, I think she nailed it, dude. I really do. I think you did. I mean,
did
Bond,
you guys plan that, or was that just an organic way that things kind of came to be?
100% organic, and
Yeah.
it's just kind of, like Tommy was that hidden, I don't know, hidden spice that I think we needed. And, you nailed it with the East Coast pissed off shit. Tommy jokes about that all the time.
Really?
He calls us massholes, and that's what we are. And I actually think it's a compliment, and it's true, but it's we bring some, a certain sort of edge to it. But Tommy was the missing link, I think. And that's what creates that sound, that big guitar driven sound. And, again, we're happy that people like you are actually listening to it and
Yeah.
actually actually listening and noticing stuff. And
Oh,
the
yeah.
fact that you said we have a sound like that's been my goal my whole life, is to be in a band where we sound like us. And you actually said, oh, you remind me of stuff, but that's a lot different than you're ripping off something, or you sound too much like this or like that. We want to be able to show our influences, but we also want to sound like Bad Marriage. And I think Bad Marriage's core sound, our core band members, now with Tommy's signature sound, is a cool new thing that I think people are digging, and I hope it continues.
I want to talk about your front man in a few minutes, but I also want to
Yeah.
talk about the fact that, yeah, there's this double barrel guitar. There's a guitar record. There's no doubt about it, but it's also very song driven. It's a song driven record. You guys have some really cool songs. You come out of
Thank
the
you.
box with Head Trip, which I think kind of sets the tone for who the band is. And I love that there's 13 tracks and they're all like boom, 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 like quick hits to the face. I think there's maybe one or two that are just 4 minutes, but everything else
Right.
is like this double barrel attack.
Awesome, man.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Head Trip is great. I love Heartache Hard to Break. I think the guitar
Awesome.
work between you guys on that,
That's a good one.
crazy. Just
Thank you.
crazy, crazy good. So
Thank you.
what was
Yeah.
it like, Tommy, the first time you guys actually played together? Did you get like the goosebumps on your arm and say
Yeah. Well,
this is cool?
yeah, when I first flew out there and we jammed together, man, that first night I could feel it, man. Like I was having a little tuning issues, but other than that, man, it was just like, and that's when Ian was still there. We were going 3 guitars, man.
Yeah.
It was just a huge fucking sound. And yeah, I got a little goosebumpy. And plus, I just love these guys. Where me and Mike were talking, I love them like brothers, man. We really kind of become brothers, and it's awesome. It's awesome.
Yeah,
that way.
and to touch on that a little bit, I do remember the first time Tommy came down. We were rehearsing for a tour, and it was going to be a long, brutal tour. It was with our friends in Enough's Enough and our friends in the Choir Boys, and we were the opening band, and we had a shit ton of shows. It was like 22 shows in like 25 days. It was just brutal and it was awesome. We were excited about it. But so we sent a lot of stuff for Tommy to learn, and he came down like a day or two before we were leaving for tour, and we're like, all right, Tommy, are you ready? We got to go through a lot of these songs, and we just knew by the first halfway through the first song that this was going to be awesome. And yeah, it was just loud and proud and just unforgiving, and we were all looking around, and you didn't even have to say anything. You just knew it. It was powerful.
And you
So
can
yeah,
feel that. Yeah, you can feel it when
totally.
you listen to it. I can feel and hear the chemistry. I want to talk about your front man too.
Sure.
Johnny Paquin. It's funny because there are certain front men that need a shirt that says like singer is a front man. There's still those guys that aren't just sitting up there holding a microphone, staring down at their shoes,
Right.
lost in another memory. They're out there working the crowd. They're out there doing the front men, the David Lee Roth stuff that we all grew up listening to as Van Halen kids and stuff. So talk to me a little bit about working with him and why he's such an integral part of the energy and the feel for this band.
Can I say something about that?
Of course.
When I first saw them, man, that was another thing is when I was checking Johnny out, man, he was wearing this hat with his eyeball on it, and the way he moves, he's got a lot of mystique, man. That's the thing about Johnny, and he's just got a coolness. I can't really explain it, man. It's really fucking cool, and that really drew me in too. Speaking about what I saw when I first saw them, yeah. Awesome.
Yeah, and for me, I mean, I knew him kind of coming up in the music scene around New England, Boston, and all the surrounding areas in Massachusetts, Rhode Island, New Hampshire, like all the places that our old bands would play. And I knew him from that scene, and I always thought he was awesome. He had a great look. He had like this Jim Morrison meets Robert Plant look, and his voice sounded like everything I used to listen to. Like all the good hard rock that I loved. And he actually joined a band with our drummer in Bad Marriage, Mike Delaney. Me and Delaney played in a band first, and then when we broke up, he joined with Johnny. So I used to go and watch them play, and I was a little jealous. I'm like, these guys rock. So when I was starting Bad Marriage, I was handpicking people that I grew up with and knew that could get the job done, and Johnny was one of them, and we landed him, and he's a special dude. I mean, he's got like Tommy said, he's got his own mystique. He's not the most graceful. He's a rock and roll singer. He goes out there and gives it everything he's got, and he just performs, and people definitely enjoy watching him on stage.
And
his
also
eyes, he's got the eyes, when he's coming through, he just has those eyes of, the eyes of a front man.
Right.
And you know what? He's fun. When did we lose the fun in rock and roll? I can't remember who I was speaking to recently, and they were like, we just want to bring some fun back to rock and roll.
You should really also, in this same vein, talk about how, like, Mike, actually, this is the first album where Mike's kind of actually singing some lead vocals on this as well, and sharing them with Johnny in songs, which I think is really interesting, and that was because Mike was singing stuff to me, and I heard him on the demos. He would sing stuff like riffing over the songs that he was writing just to have something there. And I was like, dude, you should sing a little bit. So he did. And so he's on there singing some leads on like Pennyman is Mike, on their Victims. And so listen for that. It's cool.
Yeah. So real quick, when I send out a lot of demos, when we're writing Bad Marriage songs, I got the studio in my house, Terry. So like, I'll write a foundation of a song, some guitar parts, some drums I'll throw in there, and I would sing on them just to get my idea across, never thinking that I was going to be actually the voice of anything. But I would send it out, and Tommy started saying, dude, is that you? Is that you singing on there? I'm like, yeah, man, I'm just trying to get my idea across. So long story short, he pushed me to do a lot of singing, and me and Johnny started singing together, and ping ponging ideas, and hey, I'll take this line, you take that line. So it's the tip of the iceberg with that stuff too. And I think I'm singing lead on 4 or 5 songs on this
Listen
album
to the
too.
song "Chokin'." They're sharing vocals, and it's
Oh, I
really
love that.
unique.
I love that song.
And Rock and Roll Alien, I believe. It's really unique. It's cool.
Oh,
Yeah,
fantastic. Fantastic.
yeah. So it's a new thing for me, but and Johnny's been very cool in embracing that, and he's loving some of the help. I'm giving him some help up there, and I think it's the tip of the iceberg with me and him with that sort of stuff. And but
Cool.
he's the ultimate front man. I'm not that guy. I love playing guitar, but I do like singing here and there. But like you said, and Johnny is he's cut from a different cloth. He's like the old magical frontmen. So we're happy to have them.
And we need frontmen in rock and roll. And I love that too. I think the singing guitar player is very important and very unique to a band, because I think you hear the guitar in a different way when you're a vocalist, and especially
Right.
2 guitars and the singing guitar player. Well, that's why this is such a great record. I love Rock and Roll Mofo too. I think it brings back the spirit of everything. So give me a little insight into how that song came to be. It's such an anthem, and it's one of those songs that if you're really in a pissed off mood, just
Yeah, that actually is Tommy's song from one of his solo records. It wasn't called Rock and Roll Mofo. It was a different name, and it was slightly arranged differently, but Tommy put out a solo record or 2, and that was on there. And I became hip to it. I think my wife was listening.
told you.
Yeah, I remember her calling me, and she was driving somewhere, and she was like, "Hey, have you heard Tommy's solo song? This one?" And it's hard to say because it's a bunch of letters, right?
A bunch of letters. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like F this that
Yeah.
but whatever. But anyway, I listened to it because she was like, "You got to check it out," and I listened to it. I'm like, "Oh man!" I go, "If Tommy will let us do that and revive it and revamp it a little bit, that could totally be a badass Bad Marriage song." So we ended up re-recording it. We changed a little bit of the arrangement. And he was cool with that, but basically he had that song written, done, recorded, and we just kind of put our Bad Marriage stamp on it, and we started playing it out live, about a year ago, and people were really, really digging it. So we knew we had something. So it's a really fun song to play.
good for you, Tommy. Bringing it to the table. You put your bad marriageness on
It's
it.
kind of a novelty song, actually, that song. So it really connects with people. It's cool.
Yeah. Those songs usually do. You know what I mean? Those songs are like usually the songs that connect the most with people. And talk to me about working with Ron. How did you hook up with being part of Ron's? Ron's got so much going on. He's got the movies and the comic books and his own Ron Keel stuff, and then the Ronnie Lee Keel. And, he's just such an interesting character because he comes from a place of passion for what he does, and he, I think, said to me, "Look, if I can make my nut and pay the bills, I'm good. I do this because I love it." And those are the kind of people, like I said, you want to have in your orbit. So how did you hook up with him? And I think I spoke to him months ago, but he was priming me for this Bad Marriage record. And he just kept saying, he kept saying to me, "Wait till you hear this, you're a rock and roll girl. You're going to love it. You're going to love it. You're going to love it." So I knew how passionate he was about you guys. So how did you guys hook up, and how did you know he was the right person to have?
Yeah, first off, we weren't actively looking for a label. It just wasn't on our radar. It wasn't part of our plan. We've been doing it. We're one of those bands that have been doing it so long that we just get used to, all right, how are we going to come up with the money for, this, for that, the new record or some new merch or a new video. And, we have such a badass dedicated fan base that, we would start a nice pre-order and our fans would dedicate and, would do it with dedication, and we would raise the money that way. So we just became this self-funded, well-oiled rock machine, right? So, everything was going fine. And then I met, well, Ron had been hip to us for a couple of years because of a mutual friend and fan, our friend Shane. And he is a huge fan of Ron. He was a huge fan of Bad Marriage. He kind of sent Ron, I think he sent him some stuff, a vinyl or whatever. We sent him the vinyl, or it was a few years back, but Ron's been following us. You know, he's been behind the scenes watching us and you know, doing his homework. And then we played a show in Myrtle Beach a couple of years ago, and Ron's business partner Aaron Fisher was there. And it was a gig with Trickster, and that's where I met Aaron, and me and him became friends for months, and we started talking, and he was kind of, you know, pushing a little bit, like, hey man, you know, you sure you couldn't use, you know, our label? And I'd laugh, I don't know. So, you know, we just built a relationship. We had a bunch of Zoom meetings with him and Ron and me, and those two are just super passionate, and they make great teammates. And at the end of the day, like you said earlier, he's 100% on go all the time, and he just lives for it like we do. So we're like, you know what? We can't go wrong when you're adding someone like that to the team. You just can't. And you know, he's working night and day for Bad Marriage, and that's all we can ask for. So that, you know, that's basically, we have yet to meet Ron in person. Actually, it's funny, but you know, it's like we know him because we're doing Zoom calls all the time.
He feels like that too. He's such a warm person, you know, like Tommy said about Mike. You know, Mike's just a really warm, you know, amenable guy, and I feel that way with Ron. I got to talk about the fans too, and Tommy, especially with you. I kept seeing on your socials when you guys are out on tour, you have a fan base that not only is so loyal, but I've been seeing so many of these kids coming to merch, coming to whatever meet and greets you do. They're these young kids, these little kids. I especially have seen Tommy posing with a bunch of these kids.
Yeah.
What does it mean to you when you see these young fans? You know, because everybody always talks about, and especially in radio, people be like the 2554 demo, like that's blah, 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 blah. Now and then, and it's like, that's not been my experience. And I love when I see it's not a band's experience. I love to see these kids and these fans wearing shirts and coming up and taking photos and getting on social media. So what has that been like for you, Tommy? You know, I know a lot of them know you from Tesla, so they are now jumping on the Bad Marriage train, which is great, of course.
Yeah.
But they seem like such a passionate fan base of all ages, genders, you know?
I just feel very grateful that there are still people coming, that people, you know, I hear it all the time on my site, how I'm missed in Tesla. And I didn't realize what a big part of it was until I heard them working on other records and stuff. So and people tell me all the time how it's different and they wish I was back. And that feels really good to me, man. It's validating and it's great. But I just appreciate the fans so much, man. The younger guys, out there, that's amazing. But anybody, man, just anybody loving our stuff. You know, and not because of Tesla. Bad Marriage has been, like Mike, it's become a thing, and people are there for that. And they're not really, you know, there's some Tesla banter, but people are trying to keep it on this page. And I appreciate that because, you know, I'm with these guys, man, and I don't want to hear them yelling at me about too much Tesla stuff being talked about. But they don't. I'm just teasing. But, you know, no, it's great, man. I love the fans. I love them. I didn't appreciate them as much as I used to. You know,
these kids, you know, there are these kids that are up and coming and they just love your band. And I've been so jazzed up to see that. I love when I'm right about something. And I always want to say to people, there's no young fans that are listening to hard guitar driven rock and roll, please. You know, and it just,
they are.
They so are, you know, they so are. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. So touring, you guys are going to have a busy 2026. So let me ask you about this Mountain Music Festival. Is it as fun as it seems like it is? It looks like a great festival. It's in Gatlinburg, Tennessee. This year it's August 21st through the 23rd. So many cool, not only just hard rockers like Piercy D. Martini and you guys and Lita, Rick Springfield is on a day. John Waite is on a day. Like, this is a really incredible I like to call it like a catalog fest, because there's so many artists that have a lot of catalog on this festival, and it seems like such a cool hang. So talk to me about being on that festival.
So this is our third time playing
Yeah.
it. So you know, it's kind of like old hat to us, and we love it. So we're just. So first off, for anyone that doesn't know, that it's called it used to be the Monsters on the Mountain. Now I guess I think it changed to just the Mountain Festival. But it's from the same people who do the Monsters of Rock cruise. So it's all the same people, the same family. It's a huge network of just awesome people that literally just come to rock and have a blast. And it's impossible to have a bad time at any of those, either the cruise or the Mountain Festival. So again, it's our third one. It's 2 or 3 days of just rock and roll bliss. I mean, everyone's there for the same reason. Everyone's super cool and everyone's supportive. You know, I don't know. It's just one of those things. You can't say enough about it. We're playing twice this year. We played twice last year. So Larry, the dude who puts it on, has been super good to us. He's given us a chance. You know, like all those bands on the bill, there's only a few that are up and coming like us, that are newer. You know, mostly it's bands that have already rocked the world for many years. You know, so the fact that we're alongside of those big guns, you know, those big names, like you said, all those names, and there's tons more, is just super awesome.
Yeah, with your strongest record yet. I mean, I think this record is you found your lane, you know who you are, you're coming in with, you know, strong songs and an incredible sound. And
That's awesome.
That's what I think the beauty is, that you guys are coming into this festival with your strong.
Thank you for all that.
Yeah, it's definitely exciting. So
yeah, I mean, I've been listening to the band for years, and Tommy, I was really jazzed when you joined, and I thought, well, this is really interesting. Let's see how this goes. And then some of your folks sent me, you know, the singles as they were coming. The full album is out now, just came out. And when I first heard Match Made in Hell, it was like, oh my God, you know, this is a rock and roll experience, and one that we need. And the record as a whole, 13 tracks, has not disappointed. It's like just one, like I said, after the other, after the other, after the other.
I'm so excited about how excited you are about this. That is fucking amazing.
I'm a rock chick, you know. I mean, if you look behind me, I've got everybody from Rush to Bon Jovi to Jagger. Got my Mammoth shirt on today. I felt like putting on my Mammoth shirt. So I love guitar. I love rock and roll.
Yeah, me too.
So to hear a record that is just takes me back to the soul of rock and roll is very refreshing.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's just very, very refreshing to hear.
Thank you.
Hell yeah. And we're just excited that it's finally out and people can hear it. We just did a little tour, you know, a 2-week thing. We just finished up a couple days ago, and it was killer. We sold a ton of vinyl and CDs, and you know,
the vinyl's so beautiful. Oh my God, I saw it on your website, badmarriagemusic.com. It's gorgeous. The artwork is phenomenal too.
Yeah, we have a guy that
who's doing that?
Yeah, his name is Dean, and you know, he's primarily like he was a comic book guy, and I met him through a mutual friend at that runs a comic book shop. My buddy Jay, it's called Rubber Chicken Comics, and you know, I think I just picked his brain when I was starting Bad Marriage, and you know, I said, hey, do you know anybody that could draw, you know, I think of a logo or some album art, and he gave me a couple, and when we sat with Dean, he blew my mind. You know, we sat with him once for coffee, and then he said, you know, let's meet back in a month or two, and I'll sketch some stuff up. And he just started flipping through pages, and I'm like, yeah, this is the guy. So he's been with us ever since. And you know, it's almost like a concept thing. Every album, he continuously works in the same sort of, you know, characters and art, and he's just a badass dude.
Makes us into the characters sometimes. With like skulls and you
totally, yeah. He's just
well, the music is a sexy sound, and when you see the artwork, there's kind of a sexy vibe on the artwork too. So everything kind of fits together conceptually, you know, which is great.
It's rock and roll, you know. It's like everything we grew up on, and we're trying to just keep that torch going, you know.
Rock and roll's always been sexy. Then all of a sudden it stopped being sexy. Like it wasn't like in vogue to be sexy anymore. And I'm like, where the hell did this go? What's going on?
That's funny.
It's true. It's true.
Yeah.
Well, this is an amazing, amazing record. I'm so excited
you.
that we have the opportunity.
Thank
We
you.
were supposed to chat, and I think we all got blizzarded in
Yeah.
a couple
Yes.
of weeks ago, which really sucked. So I'm really happy to have the opportunity. And I'm actually happier that we got blizzarded in because now the record is out. So
Right.
I didn't have to talk to you pre-album and only
Yeah,
have a couple of tracks. I've been able to spend some time with the full record, which I did, and just really have a different appreciation than I probably would have a month ago or a couple of weeks
That's
ago.
fucking awesome, man. Thank you so much.
It's always good to see you, Tommy, and Mike. It's
Yeah.
a pleasure to meet you, Mike Fitz and Tommy Skeoch from Bad Marriage. One of the best records, dare I say it, of the year so far.
Hell yeah, let's go.
Yeah.
Woo.
Yeah. Thank you, guys.
Mike.
Please come back to our neck in the woods, too.
Thank
we would
you.
love to see you. I'd love to see you in the New York, New Jersey area.
Definitely. That'd be awesome.
You don't need to be in your car to listen to Carr Stereo. Listen wherever you get your podcasts. I'm Rob Moorhead. TC and I will see you next time.